Alright, welcome to FusionPit Presents. I'm Alec.
I'm Jordan.
I'm Joseph.
And today Jordan is filling in for Charlie as he is out sick. Now with that being said, we are doing a brief history of local releases, part 5.
In 2012, In the Rye released their first and only full-length album, Stardust at 7. We covered In the Rye in an earlier video with their early EP. The link to that will be below. On Stardust at 7, they released a plethora of new songs as well as brought back 2 of their songs from the early EP, Awake and Forgive or Forget. On this album, though, they kept to their rock roots, to the sound that we all know as In the Rye, but they also did something a bit different, because we have our songs like 4 Caliber, we have Awake, and we have Himalaya, but we also have songs like Storm of More and Denominators, which have a much more traditional rock sound to me. But onto that, they seem, I guess what I could say is that they sound more angry than some of the other songs. Great lyric writing by John Trey Vestal though, and great guitar work by Danny. I'm not sure who played bass on all of these tracks, and I'm not sure who played drums on all of these. Unfortunately, I've heard there's been multiple people who did so. But my favorite tracks on this were 4 Caliber and Awake.
Deathless was released by death metal band Decayed Existence in 2014, and this album has a lot of eerie atmosphere, and it really comes from how a lot of these tracks open up. For example, the very opening track of this album, Anti, it opens up with a sample of the 2007 horror movie Dead Silence, and a lot of these other tracks have this eerie, dissonant, dark scale that usually is followed by really thick, heavy, crunchy, down-tuned guitars. And another thing I've noticed about Decayed Existence is that they're super traditional in the sense that they're in the root of death metal. It's like when Joe was talking about Transient Messiah last week, he said they're not trying to be the most technical thing around. They are not trying to upstage Van Halen or anything. They are writing super thick, heavy songs that they like. And I feel like there is a movement coming out where not just metal, but a lot of other genres are trying to dig back into their roots. Now, my favorite songs off of this track are Anti, Lobotomy, Fuck Cancer, and Extermination Campaign.
The album The Long Road Back, released in 2014 by Adrian Taylor. It's a country music album. It tells a love story, but is also mixed with like an upbeat songs. I don't really have a favorite in this album, favorite song. I like them all. 2 that really stand out to me is Underage, because it's a powerhouse song. It's one of his best powerhouses in that album, but it's also a powerful song. The other song, Late Friday Night, is an upbeat and very fast tempoed song, and is kind of like a party song.
These Days Age was released in 2006 by alternative metal band Distortion Drum, and I feel like this album has a much different vibe than their later release, A Precious Moment. It's very reminiscent of and reminds me a lot of the stylings of bands like 36 Crazy Fists, with thrown clean vocals and mid-range screams and growls. Now, in this album, you get a lot of thick, heavy, down-tuned, crunchy riffs, aggressive drums, insane rhythms, but along with this, you also get these ultra-melodic moments with very simplistic, minimal drum patterns behind that. And I feel like my favorite songs on this album are Circles, 3 Shades of 8, and although the last track was a fairly long song, Lightning Will Strike never seemed to lull. It never seemed to lose its taste. I feel like it kept its course very well. And for that, it is one of my favorite songs. Bridges Built to Break is an EP that was released in 2012 by pop-punk band Hollow Lane. Now this album, it's very quick and it's very upbeat, but not as aggressive. And I feel like where it lacks in aggression, it makes up for in catchiness and punchiness. This album has a lot of variety to it as well. With the opening song, Relativity Machine, you get a lot of funk vibe, especially with the bass line that opens up right behind the very simple drum beat. The following song, Two Silhouettes, you get almost a reggae-ish feel. And it kind of throws it off a little bit, but I feel like it works very well together. The mixing of this is where it really comes into the punchiness factor. The mixing, the recording, I feel like it was done very well. That's where a lot of this shines. And I feel like my favorite song on this EP is Relativity Machine. Alright, this has been FusionPit Presents. I'm Alec.
I'm Jordan.
I'm Joseph.
You guys are awesome. Stay metal.
So this is a message to all you musicians out there. We want you to send us all your music that you have. We want to review it, and we just want to put it out there for you. Thanks.